Hi, welcome to the virtual orientation of the Autumn Ridge 26 BHS by Starcraft. We're going to start your virtual orientation on the outside of the trailer. We're going to start at the front. First thing we'll look at is your front compartment. It's a pass-through storage, and in here you will find a few pieces of equipment that are important for the use of your trailer. We have the manual crank for your stabilization jacks, as well as a manual crank for your front electric tongue jack. Also, if you have a drill or an impact gun, you can use this quick connect bit, and it will work with your drill or impact on your jacks, so you don't have to manually crank them. From here, we'll move just next door and see the solar ready connection point. So if you have a solar panel or you wish to get one, this one's already pre-wired for the use of a solar panel. Continue along the front. We'll come to your battery storage area, battery box, and your two 12-volt leads. And then just in front of that, we have your double 30-pound propane storage system, complete with your crossover regulator. Now this crossover regulator, what it will do, you can see at the moment, this handle is pointing towards this bottle. So when this bottle drops between a predetermined pressure, which is determined internally by the regulator, we can't adjust that, it'll automatically stop pulling from this bottle and draw from this bottle without you having to change which way this little handle points. It's very handy. What this means is in the middle of the night, if you're camping when it's cold out, you do not have to get out of your trailer in the middle of the night when it's cold and switch bottles to keep yourself warm. So as we move in front of that, we'll come to your electric tongue jack. Obviously it has the up and down functions, have some lighting, good for nighttime loading. And then we also have a port on the top, and what this port does, you can remove the rubber stopper and it'll allow you to use the manual crank that I showed you earlier in the front storage compartment to manually crank the tongue up and down if you lose power or your battery is no good for whatever reason. That way you still always have full functionality. We'll come back around this side a little bit and drop down to look at your breakaway safety switch. You attach this loop to the tow vehicle. The other end is attached to the pin on this breakaway control. In the event that the tow vehicle becomes separated from the RV, this will pull the pin, remove the pin from this box, and engage your trailer brakes. Conversely, I have seen where this pin during hookup gets pulled out partially and it will still engage the trailer brakes. So if after hookup you're experiencing something along those lines, it's never a bad idea to come back and just make sure that your pin is fully inserted. Okay, we'll continue along the outside of the trailer, coming to the off-door side of the front storage compartment. And here you will see a couple more items. We have your 30 amp 30-foot power cord. This is what you'd use to connect to your campground power or at home. Now we do also supply you, it'll be inside the trailer, with a block that will basically convert this plug-in to a standard 15 amp plug-in if you just wish to run a little bit of power to keep a fridge cold or something at home. And next to that, we have this spray hose, spray nozzle. It is a quick connect, and it can be used with the outdoor tap that I'll show you in a little bit. I'm going to drop down and just talk about the stabilization jacks for a minute. Now, we'd mentioned it briefly on the other side with the manual cranks. However, it is important to note that we have these at all four corners of the trailer, and they should not be used to level the trailer. They should be used to stabilize it only once it is fully leveled. Okay, let's continue along. The next thing we'll come to is your docking station. This docking station has an outdoor tap that can be used with that quick connect fill hose that I showed you earlier. Simply put it in here. Also in here you'll find the main input for the satellite or cable for the trailer. Next to that, when we go over, we'll see the connection point for your black tank flush. And beside that, we have the connection point for your city water connection and your tank fill. Now, if you look up at the lid, it gives you good diagrams explaining what everything is for. So in the current position that this valve is in, we would be filling your freshwater tank with your supply hose hooked in here. Switch it to this. This would then become your city water connection. You connect your garden hose from your home or from the campground into this connection, and it will pressurize all the water lines in the system, and you can use your water as you need. As we continue over the side, we'll see that there is a 30 amp power. The 30-foot cord that I showed you in the front pass-through compartment, this is where you would hook that up and then hook the other end up to the campground power. So right below here, we have your black and gray water output. Then we also have your gray and black water valves. So as we continue along the rear of the trailer, I want to pause for a minute just to make note. Right up there, we have a housing for a reverse camera or rear view camera. What that does is it will show you the back of the trailer on a module that you can plug into the 12-volt plug-in in your tow vehicle. And it will allow you to drive and monitor the back of the vehicle while driving. It is an item that is sold separately and can be installed in the pre-wired housing. Continue along the rear and make note of propane port. This is a quick connect port that allows you to connect a barbecue or other such items to the RV's propane system. When in use, the valve needs to be turned in line like this. In this position, it is closed or off. As we stand up, we'll see the outside access to your hot water tank. We've got a few things to note. One would be your drain plug. Two, we have your pressure relief valve. And three, we have your reset. So if you're ever removing this drain plug, it's important to note that always open the pressure relief valve and relieve the buildup pressure in the tank. Otherwise, when you remove this, it'll come shooting out at you. So it's always important to open the pressure relief valve before removing the plug. Also, in order to reset the system, you have to come outside, press the reset. So after you've tried to light it, it's not lighting. It'll try to light 3 times. You turn it off, turn it back on, try again. If it's still not lighting, I would suggest coming out, trying the reset, and then begin the lighting procedure again. Okay, as we continue along, come back to where we started. At this point, we'll note the awning with a speaker at each end of the awning. That can be used in conjunction with the stereo inside the RV, so you can play your music, radio, or anything you want outside on the outside speakers. Under your awning, you have a few items here. We have the venting for your refrigerator. It's important not to lean anything against this or obstruct the venting whatsoever, as airflow is needed through this in order to maintain proper functionality of your refrigerator. Right below that, we have the exhaust for your furnace. Now it does say hot right on there, and it does stand to reason that the exhaust would be hot. However, whenever it's underneath the awning, I'd like to make special note of it, just so you're aware it does get hot. It's not such a big deal when it's not under the awning, because you don't have as much chance of being around it. Next, we'll come to GFCI plugs. If the main GFCI in the trailer is tripped, then this plug will not work. So if you find that you don't have power here, the first thing I would try is go inside, usually in the bathroom, sometimes on the counter. You'll find the GFCI plug. I'll show you that in a little bit. So moving over to the potable water or freshwater tank fill. If you don't, for whatever reason, want to use the docking station like I showed you previously, you can also fill your freshwater tank from here. Okay, let's go inside and take a look around. So first things first, as we come through the door, we will see that there is your fire extinguisher. Very important piece of safety equipment, and right next to that we have another. This is your carbon monoxide propane detection. What this will do, with the button on the front, you'll test this every 6 months or so, I usually suggest, at the same time that you check and test the smoke detectors. The reason I suggest that is every 6 months with daylight savings time, it gives you kind of a good way to just remember to swap out your smoke detector batteries and check this, just to make sure both of those items are always functioning properly. Okay, we'll stand up here, turn back around towards the door. You'll see we have regular 120 volt counter plug, and right beside there we have some USB charging. Also, to the left of the door when you come in, we have your monitor panel or indication panels for your battery, fresh, black, and gray water tanks. We also have switching for your water heater on gas and for your water pump. Right below there, we have the controls for your slide, lights for your awning lights, as well as the main lights for the trailer. Above that, we have your control for your awning itself. Okay, going to turn around, take a look in the unit. We have the main bedroom, and in this main bedroom, special note of more USB charging capability beside the bed. Handy for plugging in your phones or charging your phone. Go around to the other side of the bed, and we'll take a look at your emergency exit. To utilize your emergency exit, have you press down on the black tab, push the red handle over, it'll pop out. Bring it straight out perpendicular and push it all the way through till the handle falls outside of the trailer. Then there's a red tab here, pull that, You can remove the screen, then you can escape to safety. Also on this side, we'll have your pre-wired for power, input for your cable or satellite, as well as a mounting position for your television bracket if you wish to have a TV in your bedroom. If you lift up the underbed storage on this, you'll see that it doesn't actually pass through to the front storage compartment, but you do have some additional storage underneath the bed. We'll step back into the main area of the trailer. Take a look at some of our other features and benefits. First one is a safety feature, that being your smoke detector that I talked about previously. As I mentioned when I was talking about the carbon monoxide propane detector, it's important that we test this to make sure it's functioning properly. So I recommend daylight savings time every 6 months. You can test the functionality of both safety systems and make sure they are functioning properly. So we'll turn around, we'll look at your Rangetop. Your Rangetop is pretty straightforward to light. Turn whatever burner you're looking to light, you turn it to the light position as it is now. Once it's in that light position, you then turn the sparker and it will ignite the burner. Same thing for all three. There's one difference for the oven portion, and that difference for the oven portion is when you turn it to the light position, as you do with the others, you actually have to press and hold the knob in while you work the sparker. You only have to do that for the oven portion, not for the burners. So we'll drop down and take a look. Right below your oven we have the power center for the RV. This is where you'll find your breakers like you would in your house, and they function much the same, as well as your fuses like you might find in your vehicle. These do have lights that will light up, indicating that there is not a proper connection there. Usually that would mean that you have a burnt out fuse. Transition over to your refrigerator. This fridge will operate on electric only mode, gas only, or auto, which will switch between gas or electric. It will automatically go to electric first if it's available. Now if you're in the gas mode and it doesn't light properly, what will happen is at some point it'll try to light 3 times, which takes a little bit of time, and once that happens, if it's unsuccessful, you'll see that those lights disappeared. If it's unsuccessful, what will happen is you'll get a flashing light here to indicate that it is not lit and not functioning properly. If that happens, the usual culprit is the either you don't have the bottles on, so the valves aren't open on the front of the trailer, so there's no propane flowing, or you just open the bottles, you've come in and you're trying to turn on the fridge because you want to get stuff cold. Sometimes in that instance, it just hasn't built up enough pressure in order to ignite. In that instance, I would turn the fridge off, wait a couple minutes, go do something else, and then just come back and try to light it again. At that point, the pressure is probably is great enough to allow it to light. All right. Let's turn around here and we'll look at your thermostat. Your thermostat uses a capacitive touch button. All that means is it's not mechanical. You don't have to press it hard. It's just a light touch, turn it on, and you can cycle through fan, high, low, or auto. You have cold, and then your air conditioner or your furnace. And then you can use these buttons to change the temperature up and down. Now I will note that the fan setting, if it's not set to auto and it's set to high, fan is set to high and you put it on heat, it will still use the reefer or the AC fan to blow air. So when you have it set to high fan, it will use the reefer fan to achieve that. It doesn't blow cold air, but it is quite loud. So if you find that happening, come back to here and just make sure it's on auto. Make sure it's not on high or low. Or make sure it's not on high. Talking about the AC for a minute, you'll notice now that the baffles here are closed, and what that'll do is force all the cold air to these ports that are located throughout the trailer. If you're cooking or for whatever reason you're just right here in the main part of the trailer and that's where you want the bulk of your cold air to go, then you can simply open the baffles. That'll allow most of the air to fall out here, and you won't really get any airflow through these vents. You can use that for a couple different reasons, either just because you're cooking and you want all the cold air here, or you have bunks here if kids are cold. You can just close the venting like so, but you could also divert it 100% and have it not flow to the area at all. Now that we've talked about your bunks a little bit, I have a couple of things that I want to speak on. First, I want to note that the bottom bunk does house a emergency exit. It functions identically to the one in the bedroom, so I won't go over specifically how to operate it, as it's operated the same. Now, underneath the bunk, we have a hinged access for some storage, but also for access to your hot water tank. Now, I have already removed this portion, exposing the back of the hot water tank, but all it is, one Red Robertson screw. Take that out, you can move this over, now you have access to the back of your hot water tank. Right now this is set up to draw water from the hot water tank if needed. If you were to turn these two valves, it would bypass the tank, and that's what you would use for winterizing it. There's no need to fill your water tank full of antifreeze. It's a waste of antifreeze. You can just drain the water from your hot water tank. Okay. The bathroom is pretty standard. We have switching for your fan, for the lights. There's a good sized tub. And this is where we'd find the unit's GFCI, like I mentioned earlier. So if we test it, you'll see that it trips and a little light comes on. So if you don't have power on your counter plugs or your outside plug, come in here, take a quick look. If this red light's on, then that means it's tripped, and those plugs are probably on the load side of your GFCI. So press the top button, reset it, and if they work, great. If they don't, then the next spot I would go is to take a look at your power center that we showed you earlier and make sure there aren't any breakers that are switched off. Okay, as we exit out of the bathroom, we've covered quite a bit. There's one other thing that I want to make sure that I mention, and that would be your water pump. Now, same as the storage compartment under your bunk there, I previously removed this panel via one Red Robertson screw, and it gives us access to your water pump. So here you'll notice we have a fill hose for your water pump. This is what you'd use to winterize. And then there is a valve right here. So currently this valve is pointing in line with this, And that basically is going to draw from your freshwater tank. If we were to turn it the other way, that puts the valve in line with the fill hose, and that will mean that you'll be using your fill tube, which is used to draw antifreeze and pressurize the system with antifreeze in order to winterize it. Right now, I have it set to basically summer mode to draw water from your freshwater tank. But if you ever need to access it yourself, it is in the cupboard under the sink. You just have to remove this one Red Robertson screw, and you're good to go. The other thing that we have to talk about is the stereo and TV. The stereo and TV are all together in one unit. There's one remote that works the TV and the stereo. There are two zones to the TV and stereo. The two zones being A and B. A is the inside, B is the outside. And it's all on the remote, clearly labeled, volume for A, volume for B. It's color coded as well. And then you can turn off and on the speakers from inside or outside. For inside or outside the trailer with the remote. And as you can see, we also have FM radio capabilities. We have, like it says, two zones, A, B, one inside, one outside. We have Bluetooth connectivity as well as USB charging and a HDMI connectivity. The last thing that I want to make note of is the antenna or signal booster. So you see right there, this one's labeled, sometimes they don't. I'll try to get in close enough. You can see it is labeled for TV on or TV off, or on equals TV, off equals cable. So when they say that, on equals TV means it equals antenna. So your antenna is set to, this will be your antenna booster is working when the light's on. However, if you're trying to use your satellite or cable, this will interfere with the signal, so you have to make sure that is off. Really, you don't have to remember which is which. If the signal isn't working, press the button and try scanning for channels again, and that should fix the problem. Okay, that does it for our virtual orientation. I hope you found the video informative, and if I missed something that was important to you, we're still happy to try to help you figure it out and answer any questions you have. Just give us a call, and someone here will be happy to help. Thank you.